Can you hear me? My name is Carrie Miscavige, and I am the Times Leader Media Group publisher. I'm the first female publisher in 115 years, and so I thought this group might appreciate that today. I don't normally introduce myself that way. Times Leader Media Group is a print and digital newspaper company, and we serve Luzerne County and beyond. So thanks for being here today. And we are so proud to be here today to introduce Karen Darby. Karen joined Jacoby Capital Management in 2021 following an 8-year career in the financial services industry. Her natural interest in helping people led her to pursue a career as a financial advisor. Karen started her career as a financial advisor at Mass Mutual, Eastern Pennsylvania, focusing on helping families that have a loved one with special needs plan for their futures. Karen works with individuals, families, and business owners who are often too busy and overwhelmed with all the decisions that go into building and preserving wealth. She is passionate about educating her clients and being a resource for them. Karen is very involved in her community and enjoys donating her time to various causes and nonprofits. She's a member of the Pittston Rotary Club and the 2020 Women on Boards Wilmington Leadership Committee. In her free time, she enjoys traveling, yoga, and her favorite Friday night dates with her sons, Levi and Tyler. Please help me welcome Karen.
Hey everyone, thank you so much. Thank you. I think I'm gonna use this. Right, can you hear me? Is this, all right. Back. Oh, thank you everyone for sticking it out through the day. I know it's been a long day here. I am so honored to be here and be part of this event, and really, this is my first time, and I've seen so many amazing speakers and heard so many inspirational stories, and just seeing women come together to support one another is just so beautiful. So today, as you know, I am a financial advisor. But today we're not going to talk about finances. Today we're here to talk about us and how we're showing up in our lives and for ourselves. What's holding us back, and how do we overcome our fears and our self-doubts to make a difference in our own lives and in our communities? Are you guys taking risks in your life, or are you playing it safe? So one thing I did want to remind everybody of before I start is it would be awesome if we all made a commitment to ourselves to take action. Don't just sit here and listen to all this great advice and go home and let it get lost in the shuffle. Before you leave today, do one thing. Write something down that you're going to go home and you're going to challenge yourself. And just start taking that action, because that's really where you get the most rewards. So my idea for this presentation, and honestly I forgot how to do this, so let's hope if we can figure that out. I have no idea. Which one? I don't know if this is working. Oh, got to turn it on. That makes sense. Thank you. All right. That's the wrong way. I'll get this, I promise. Okay. So the idea for this presentation came from a chance meeting I had, and I was in Philadelphia walking past the Liberty Bell, and I realized I never saw it in person. So I thought, why not waste an hour, right? Maybe I'll learn something. And I was really inspired when I got in there. I didn't realize some things that I was learning. We all obviously know that this bell is a symbol of freedom and justice. But it was interesting when I started to see pictures of the Women's Liberty Bell or the Justice Bell. Has anyone here ever really even heard of that bell? Me either. Yeah, I didn't even know it existed. So this bell here that you see was a picture I took on the day in January that I visited. It was created in 1753, and the Women's Liberty Bell was created in 1915. It was a replica bell, and it was chained. And they took to the streets, symbolizing that women didn't have a voice in this country. We didn't have a right to vote. That was a long time between those two bells that we didn't have any say. So it really started to sink in that it wasn't that long ago that women didn't have a voice, so I could see why so many of us are afraid to use ours. We're all shaped by our beliefs, and our beliefs we don't even really realize we have them. They're picked up from other people. Typically, we're not creating them ourselves. They're passed down from generation to generation. It doesn't have to be verbalized. Back then, the belief that women didn't have a voice was in the law. It was in the way people told you to be quiet and to let the men handle it. It was all the times when you finally got the courage to speak up and nobody listened. I'm sure we could all relate to this, and all of this is subconsciously forming our beliefs about ourselves and the world. But the reality is we all have the power to change that. We just have to step into it. So here's just a brief history lesson. I thought these facts were really relevant. In 1769, the colonies adopted the English system. Women were not allowed to own their own property in their name or keep their own earnings. So being in the financial services industry and being that only 25% of advisors are women, it made me realize maybe it's not because we're bad with money like so many people say they are, so many women say. Maybe it's because the men had such a head start and we weren't even allowed in that area. Because it wasn't until 1900 that the laws were changed and women were allowed to own their own property and were allowed to keep their own earnings. Back in that time, probably a lot of us in this room, how many in this room live alone, have their own bank account, have their own house or apartment, whatever it is? Back then, we couldn't have the lives that we're living now. We would need a man to have our life. And then, it wasn't until 1920 the 19th Amendment was passed granting women the right to vote. In 1932, the first woman was elected to US Senate. In 1963, this was only 59 years ago, the first woman became CEO of a Fortune 500 company. And then in 1999, we became CEO of a Fortune 50 company. And it wasn't until 2016 that a woman secured the major party presidential nomination. She didn't win, but she's definitely paving the way. Nope, and I went the wrong way. So where are we currently? As you can see, these are just some statistics. Women hold about 26% of the Russell 3000 corporate board seats. 41 females became CEO of Fortune 500 companies in the last 59 59 years. So it's slow progress. Even though Congress has a record number of women, that we're still just over 25% there. And that Women in the Workplace study shows each level and what percentage of women are in each role. So at entry level, it's almost 50-50, we're 48%. But as you go up the ladder, you can see that that number gets smaller and smaller. And up in the C-suite, we only represent 24% of those positions. So where are we going? Where do we still have to break through? What would all of you like to see? 50% representation in the boardrooms? Women leading companies, creating policies to help keep other women in the workforce? Women holding 50% of the political offices and running our country alongside the men? What could you do to push women forward? Every action, no matter how small you think it is creating a difference. We're making a difference in the lives around us, in our communities, and ultimately the world. My personal mission is to help women take control of their finances and achieve financial independence and freedom. Because at one time, I wasn't financially independent. So I'd love to share a story with you guys of my journey. It all started about 7 years ago. I was married young, and I had a son, and he was just the most amazing thing ever. And me and my husband had a plan that he was going to be the primary breadwinner, and I was going to stay home and take care of our son and, work part-time and try to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because I've always been in that entry-level position statistic pretty much. I didn't know what I wanted. But I realized quickly that he couldn't be relied on, and it wasn't a good environment for my son. So I knew I had to get out, but I didn't know if I could raise my son on my own, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything, right? It's a tough decision to make. And the financial was a really, really big stretch for me because I didn't know if I could give him the life that he deserved. But I stepped out of my comfort zone and I left. And then the next thing was, what do I do now? How do I give him the life that he deserves? So I could go back to my job where I knew my salary, I knew the hours, I knew my benefits, I knew my time off. It was safe, I knew the work. Or I was talking to another firm, and they were talking to me about being a financial advisor. I never thought that was me. I was never the one leading, I was always the assistant behind the scenes. And it really wasn't safe. There was no salary. It was 100% commission. I had to work for every dollar I made. I could end up homeless. Probably not, I do have family, right? But I didn't know what the next step was gonna be. And I didn't know if I could do it, quite honestly. I had no idea. And when I was talking to the president of that firm, I was sitting there and I said, listen, I'm going into being a single mother. I'm the sole provider for my son, financially, physically, every way. I can't work 60 hours a week. I've been in this industry. I've seen people come and go and fail every day. It's a difficult job. And by the way, I don't have any money and neither do my friends. We're all broke, right? Like, I come from a middle-class family. How am I gonna get that natural market that everyone's talking about? I didn't have it. And I need to support him, so how do I take on this role and have no idea what that outcome's gonna be? And he looked at me and he said, Karen, if you want it, you will find a way. And I believed him because I could tell that he meant it and he believed it himself. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and I took that job and I worked surrounded by men, okay? And it was hard. It was so difficult. Every day I'd go into the office and not know where my next paycheck was coming from. I'd be helping people with their finances and getting through retirement and planning for their business or their family's lives. And my life wasn't exactly in the right place, right? At the same time, while they're building theirs, I'm building mine. And then I had to take more uncomfortable action because people don't just pick up the phone and call you. I had to reach out to family and friends, strangers. How many people here have gotten a sales call from somebody? Right? Or maybe a new advisor in the industry, right? Hey, I just got this great career. And how many people here liked getting that call? Oh, nobody? I didn't like making that call either. None of us did. We knew it was uncomfortable, but I didn't have an option. So I picked up the phone and I called people. I called everybody I knew, didn't know, didn't matter. I'd get 100 no's just to get one yes. And then I'd set these meetings, and then I'd have to actually go out and talk to people about something that I just got in, like I just figured out what I was doing, right? I didn't know what I was doing. So I remember my first meeting, it was my aunt and my uncle, and I took my manager, and he was this big, tall guy, and he had the hair. Well, he didn't have much hair, but the hair he did have, it was slick. And he had the nice watch and the suit, and we go in, and we're sitting at the kitchen table, and he just starts this presentation. He's going on and talking about all these things, and I'm like, I don't even think I was listening. It was just all noise in my head. And it's starting to get hot in there. I'm like, oh my God, this is uncomfortable. Like, we're talking to people about their most intimate topic. People don't talk about money most times with their spouses, let alone a stranger, right? I booked it out of there when that meeting was over, and I thought, my God, I'm never gonna be able to do this. There's no way. I just don't have it in me to do that. But again, I didn't have the option. So I practiced and I learned, and I just eventually started taking over parts of the meetings, and then eventually I was taking over the full meeting and I'm running it myself. And then things like this come up, right? Where people say, hey, you want to speak at an event? You want to come speak to a group of people? Which, if anybody knew me when I was young, I was shy. I didn't raise my hand. I didn't talk up. It just wasn't me. But exposure is exposure, right? So I say yes, and I go out and I think, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And I step out of my comfort zone, and I love it. It's so fun because now instead of changing one person's life, I could sit in a room and I could change multiple people's life at one time, right? And that's exciting to me. That's exhilarating. So my story was a lot of uncomfortable action. It was a lot of ups and downs. It was a lot of difficult times. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm raising a baby by myself. And that first year, I actually beat all the boys and became New Agent of the Year at that firm. Not because I was more educated, because I wasn't. Not because I knew people, because I didn't. And not because I was better than anybody else, because I wasn't. Just because I did the work. I took all that little action, and I did what I could. And then in a couple years, I was able to buy a house for me and my son. And that was financial security, right? We'd have a home in the school district that I wanted him to go to kindergarten in. And that felt so good. If I didn't take that chance on myself 7 years ago, I would not be the woman that I am today. If I told myself 7 years ago that this would be me, she wouldn't believe me, right? But it doesn't happen overnight. It's little actions that you take, little risks that you take every day, little decisions that you make that make up your life. So tell me, what's one thing that scares you? What's one action that you guys could go home and do that could change your life? Just think about that tonight. So now that we learned about our history and a lot about me, let's talk about ourselves, right? Who am I? We usually list our titles, and we're showing the best sides of us to other people, our accomplishments, our achievements. But what about behind closed doors? What about those feelings of insecurity and uncertainty that we feel? What about the things we'd love to change within ourselves? That voice in the back of our heads that's stopping us before we even start. This is a list that I put together, my shit list. All that shit that we are pushing down, like that when we're ready to do something, we just talk, oh no, I'm too stupid. I'm too young to do that. No one will pay attention to me. Or maybe I'm too old to go for that promotion. Why even try? So often we're afraid to speak up and go after what we want in life because deep down we're afraid we aren't good enough, that we're not deserving of it. And that just simply isn't true. And I know each one of us has our own list that we're battling today. This voice is quieting ourselves and it's self-rejecting. So what are some of the things that have been holding you back in your life? Remember when I was talking to that president about that position at the firm, and I said to him, you don't want me. I'm not educated enough. I'm too stupid, by the way, and me and all my friends were broke, right? I didn't think that I could do that job. And he said, if you want it, you will find a way. And I knew that he believed that. And so even though I didn't have that belief within me, I borrowed his belief. And that's what kept me going. So sometimes we're not strong enough to push these voices out of our heads. Sometimes we're not strong enough to overcome them, but we can find someone who believes in us. And we could take that belief and run with it. So how do we move forward? Well, just like the lotus flower, it blooms in the muddy, murky waters. Let's not let this list stop us. First of all, let's acknowledge it. I'm sure everyone in this room has something that they need to overcome. Acknowledge the things that you've stopped yourself from having. The things that you say, oh, I don't even really want it, because you don't think you could get it. Acknowledge the stuff that you've said to yourself, the excuses, the reasons why you can't. And then set goals. And I'm saying set big goals. Set stuff that excites you. So I like to set goals for myself. I set all different kinds of goals. But I do have in my room a vision board. And it's got a beach house right on the ocean, right? It's got that next house I want to live in. It's got a salary goal, like an income goal for myself. All these things I'm striving for in life. And it excites me. And every day I look at that vision board and I can see why I'm doing what I'm doing. Well, not long ago, I hired a cleaning lady to come into my house. And no one's really ever in my room, so I don't even think about the board. But that day I was like, ooh, she's going to see this. And what is she going to think? Is she going to think Karen's crazy? Oh my God, there's no way she's going to do this. There's no way she's going to get those things. So I took it off my wall and I hid it in my closet. Crazy, right? And then when I came back home, I put it back up. And the next time she was coming, I did the same thing. I hid it in my closet again because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of dreaming big. I was ashamed of these outrageous goals that I have. And a couple of times, I did that a few times. And eventually I thought, what are you doing? Why am I doing this? Who cares if she thinks I'm crazy? Who cares if she thinks it's unattainable? That doesn't matter. What if she sees that and she's inspired? What if she sees that and she says, oh my God, I'm playing small. I should have some bigger goals. And what if she sees that and she then takes action and changes her life, which in turn changes her husband's life and her son's life? That would be amazing. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if she sees it, but it does stay up now. So I want to tell all of you, don't dream small because of the people around you. Because it's so easy to think you want something big, but then talk yourself back out of it, right? Don't be afraid to dream big. And then let's accept our past, right? We can't change what happened in the past. We can't change the failures we've had, but we can learn from them. And if you learn, it's not a failure. You just pivot and start doing something else. And the last one, which is the hardest one, is to overcome. Overcome all that doubt. And you have to get out of your head. And it was great actually just hearing Andrea say that we all want to make connections, right? Our brain wants to make those connections, which is so true. If we want something, but we're scared, how easy is it to talk ourselves out of it? We think of these crazy scenarios that are never going to happen. But by the time we're done thinking, we go, oh yeah, like there's no way. And you just don't even begin. Get out of your head and just take action. Every small little action will set you on that path. Now, if you heard my story, the actions I took every day were so small. I mean, the things that I had to get over are not that big, right? I mean, it was like making a phone call and then going and talking to people. It's not that difficult if you break the steps down into smaller steps. And then you just take one action after the next. What is it that you have been putting off because you're afraid to go after it? And share your story. Please, don't do this alone. Tell people what you want. Get an accountability partner. Work together to achieve your goals, because if you work together, it's going to make it so much easier. And when you share your story and you share your struggles, you're going to hear that other people have struggles too. Their life isn't easy. We see the picture perfect image, right? And we don't see what's happening behind those closed doors. But when we all get on the same playing field, and you realize that everybody's got struggles in their life, it makes it a lot easier to overcome yours. So now, the depressing part is over, ladies. And let's take up space. Now that we got over our fears, let's step up and be part of the conversation. How are you showing up? Your confidence level is so important if you want to be a leader. And I'm not saying running a company. I'm saying being a leader wherever you're at. That could be as a janitor, right? That could be in your family. That could be in management. Whatever it is, you have the opportunity to be a leader to those around you. So how do we do that? How do we become more confident? Well, the first thing is our physical body. Sit up straight. Everybody sit up straight. See if it helps with your confidence, right? Put a smile on your face. That helps. Make eye contact. Say hi to people as you walk past them. All those little things. And if you have a big meeting that you have to walk into and you know you're nervous for what you have to say, strike a power pose, right? They say that this works. Do it for 2 minutes. It's easy and you look silly doing it and you'll probably laugh, which is a good thing. And then your energy. Our energy and our moods can affect every part of our life. What can you do to build your energy every day? We could exercise, right? I try to, but it's not always easy finding the time, I know. Do a simple walk, anything. I like to meditate. If the girls in the office know, I have my meditation chair, and after lunch, I take my 20-minute meditation, and it rejuvenates me for the rest of the day to get through. Because days are exhausting. How many people in here have kids? Yes. Do you ever feel like you lived like 2 days just to get out of the house? And then you go to work and it's like, oh, now I have to do stuff? I'm wrangling an 8 and a 1-year-old, getting everybody ready in my house, out the door, on the bus to daycare, and by the time I get to work, I'm like, oh. That's why we have to do the things for ourselves to give us energy back. Write in a journal. Talk to yourself using kind words. Use grace. We're not perfect, none of us. But be proud of our accomplishments. That's going to energize you. Write something down that you did good today. Coming here is awesome. Everybody accomplished that today, right? And if you got here on time, that's even better. And do what makes you happy. Do what excites you. That can have an effect on your mood. If you're not excited walking into work, maybe you should rethink what you're doing. And our voice. When you're confident and you're in the right headspace, it's easier to speak up. It's easier to share your own opinion and your own thoughts. If you're in that room, many women are not there, as we saw with the statistics, right? We're not in those management roles. We're not in that C-suite. So if you're there, you need to be speaking up and giving your unique perspective for everybody else. You need to be that voice. And you need to take chances. And you have to remember that your thoughts can never be wrong. And I know that sounds so silly when I say it out loud, but how many people here have ever thought that their thoughts would be wrong? You know, like not wrong, so to say, but like it just, oh, nobody cares what I have to say, so I'm not going to say it. It's easy to think that and to stay quiet then, but that's not the answer. We need to be the change that we would like to see in the world, and it all starts in the bottom. So no matter your title, no matter your education, or whatever else you feel is holding you back, you need to stand up, speak up, and take up space. So, in conclusion, we're all just getting a seat the women are just getting a seat at the table. Please don't take that for granted. Add a new perspective when you have the opportunity. And lead with your heart. This is something that I learned in yoga. If anybody does that and you're doing these poses, you're supposed to lead with your heart, right? And I've taken that through everything in my life, into my business, into my family, my friends. Because in your head, there could be so much stuff up there. But if you're leading with your heart, you're never going to make the wrong decision. And you're never going to hurt anybody on the way. Lift others up. If you're in a position where you can bring someone else to the table, do it. If you see someone that's doing a good job, speak up and be an advocate for them. And please, Never self-reject. Those voices in your head that are saying all the wrong things, saying why you shouldn't do it, why you shouldn't even apply for the job, why you shouldn't start that business, don't listen to them because they're not right. So I want to thank everybody here today. I hope that this was inspiring or something. I don't know. I hope you got something out of it and it was worth staying. So I would love to serve everybody here because, as I said before, it's my mission to help women achieve financial freedom and independence. So if there's anyone here that would like to speak with me and maybe has a question that they're too afraid to ask, don't be afraid to ask me because, as you see, I'm not perfect. Feel free to reach out to me, okay? My contact information's there. There's a QR code you could scan. It'll take you to my website, our website or LinkedIn. You could actually schedule a meeting with me right through a booking app in there too. And I'd like to end today by telling everyone here what I tell my children every night, and it might make me cry. But ever since my big guy was a baby and we were living in that one-bedroom apartment above my mom's garage, I would hug him at night and I would say, "You are so kind and so sweet and so smart. You are going to change this world. And you could be anything that you want in this life. Don't let anybody tell you you can't, not even me." Because sometimes I forget. And sometimes I accidentally squish other people's dreams. When my son says he's going to be the first trillionaire, I might say, obviously I gave him a lot of confidence. But I believe that to be true for everybody. So if you don't believe that about yourself, please take my belief today and go after what you want. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Or anything?
You got me.
Oh, God. Well, that was my goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of
Does
course.
anybody have any questions for Karen? Come on, somebody has to have one question.
Could be about anything. I'm an open book.
No, everyone's done.
Come on, ladies.
Okay,
Thank you.
What did you learn most about yourself as you entered into your position that you were talking about earlier
Yeah.
in the last 7 years?
Oh my gosh, I learned everything about myself. I've grown so much. Oh my gosh. I've learned that even though I didn't know I was strong, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that sometimes you don't feel it, right? Sometimes you feel like you can't go another day. But I really learned that I could do anything at this point. They say when you go through hell, nothing else scares you, right? And I'm not saying it was that bad, but there was just a lot of struggles with raising, and now I'm raising 2 boys by myself. And like I said, being in this industry, but I've found that no matter what the challenge is, you can face it. All right, anybody else? Okay, well, I'll let you guys go drink because I'm sure that's what you want to do. Thank you so much.